I'd like to call this special called meeting to order of the Alamance Burlington Board of Education. At this time, just some quick announcements. Following the announcement, we will dismiss down to the library for a press conference. And so we will do that, and we'll ask that you allow the media and our candidate and family to move down quickly, because our candidate is on a time schedule to return to his current district. So that's just a little housekeeping. So at this time, I need a motion to accept the contract for our superintendent-elect.
I make that motion to elect Dr. Bruce Benson as superintendent of the Alamance Burlington School System effective July 1, 2018 for the term of 4 years, and to approve Dr. Benson's contract as presented to the board.
I'd like to second that motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Congratulations. I'm going to move to the podium for some comments, and then Dr. Benson will join us for his comments. So I just want to remind the community that we use the search firm of BWP. We had 65 applicants for the position coming out of 18 states. So on behalf of the Board of Education, it is with great confidence that I introduce to you Dr. Bruce Benson. The board is excited and resolved that we have chosen the right leadership to continue the vision and the mission of ABSS. Dr. Benson's distinguished 35-year career as a public educator, combined with his leadership experience and many accomplishments as a superintendent, made him the ideal choice among many outstanding candidates to lead ABSS next. Dr. Benson has a Bachelor's of Art degree in secondary education from Western Michigan University, where he majored in biology and minored in chemistry. He earned a Master's of Science degree in secondary education from Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia, adding a teaching endorsement in computer science. His doctoral in administration and supervision was earned at the University of Virginia, and in addition, he completed the Executive Leadership Program of Education at the University of Virginia's Darden School of Business. Before becoming the superintendent of Strafford County Public Schools in Virginia, he served as a superintendent of Accomack County Schools of Virginia. Prior to that, he was in Albemarle County Public Schools of Virginia, where he held several positions, thus including assistant superintendent, executive director of curriculum instruction and technology, and director of technology. And before Albemarle, he was in Franklin County Public Schools of Virginia, where he held several positions, one of a division technology coordinator, an adult education supervisor, and of course, a teacher. This quote from his application exemplifies what the board was looking for in our next superintendent. Quote, "I take personal responsibility to model our expectations in all interactions with students, parents, teachers, building and division leaders, government officials, and community members. He has expressed an interest," that would be end quote, sorry. "He has expressed an interest in getting to know not only our staff, but also our community. As tonight is the first introduction, please know that there will be opportunities to meet Dr. Benson moving forward during this transition. So at this time, please help me welcome to the podium our new superintendent-elect, Dr. Bruce Benson.
Gosh, you can melt my heart, and I haven't even done anything yet. So, but thank you. I very much appreciate the confidence that the board has in asking me to come and serve the school board, but the community at large. And I really do see this position as a position of service, and I'm confident that I can help you all get to that next level of achievement and deal with some of the challenges that we currently have. We've got some really wonderful work going on in the school division. We've got some challenges in terms of capital improvements that need to be taken care of. I am going to be in it for the long haul, and I'm hopeful that we have an opportunity to work together for many years to to come. I wasn't sure I was going to get an interview because, Virginia had just beaten Duke. I'm like, they're not going to want to talk to somebody from Virginia, but that worked out and didn't end up well for Virginia in the tournament. So there you go. I also want you to know that while I've held a wide variety of administrative positions, I am at heart a teacher, and I will always be a teacher, working closely with students and teachers throughout my career. And I've managed to carve time out, no matter where I've been, to be able to do that. So, folks can always tell you what they're going to do and what they might do. I think the best predictor of what somebody will do in the future is what they have done in the past. And I encourage you all to visit my current blog site. I write about my classroom visits, which are more than visits. A lot of them are co-teaching opportunities, as well as a number of other things that we've implemented in my current division. I appreciate that you guys are a little bit smaller than where I'm coming from. Stafford County is south of Washington. We have almost 29,000 students. One of the things that's really attractive to me about Alamance Burlington is that it's a little bit smaller, but still a good-sized division, yet there's a real connection in terms of it doesn't feel like a big division. I think there's I'm looking out at this point, looking in from the outside, but it feels like there's a very strong sense of community in the area, and I'm really looking forward to that. This is not just for me moving here. I'm really excited. It's my wife, Barbara, here, who's a nurse, and she will be joining me as well. That's double good. Well, you never know, right? And then this is Leah, my youngest daughter. She starts work at Duke Medical next week, so it'll be nice to have her in the area as well. I'm sure there are questions that we're going to be responding to in the press conference that's coming up next. I just want to say again, I am just thrilled to be here. I will submit a transmission plan to the board, get some input from staff across the division, and then we'll make that public so that folks know what to expect in the coming months. My official start date is not until July 1. There are certainly things I need to wrap up in my current division, like getting our budget straight before I leave, and my current board wanted to make sure that I knew I still had that responsibility. And so I will be taking care of that, but I really can't wait, and I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you. So thank you.
So at this time, we are going to move down to the library for the press conference. I'd like to invite the press to go ahead and move in that direction. If the audience would allow us to get Dr. Benson downstairs in just a moment, that would be great. So thank you all for coming this afternoon. I think I have to motion a close of this meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Patsy. Any discussion?
No.
Our regular scheduled board meeting this evening is at 6:30 p.m. in this room.
Yes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Call the meeting of the Alamance Burlington Board of Education, March 26th meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. We appreciate you being here. I'd like to take a moment to recognize our county commissioners, Amy Daly, Chair, and Bob Bird, also of County Commission, and Stephanie Braxton of Alamance Citizens for Education, and Erica Johnson of NCAE. So thank y'all for being here tonight. We appreciate you taking the time. I want to take just a moment to say thank you to my board members and to my superintendent. We just made the announcement, as many of you have heard, that we have hired Dr. Bruce Benson out of Stafford, Virginia, to be our next superintendent. And this board went through a lengthy process and worked well together to come up with an excellent candidate to serve our district when we leave our amazing and fantastic superintendent, Dr. Harrison, has to step away from his role. So I just wanted to say thank you to each one of my board members and to Dr. Harrison. And then to the central office staff. We put a lot of pressure on them today specifically because we held the name in confidence up until about an hour before the announcement. So I want to personally take a moment to say thank you to Jenny Faulkner, our PIO, who worked very hard to work with us to make today happen and run smoothly, and to Marie as well. So thank y'all very much. We really appreciate it. So at this time, we're going to move into our agenda approval. I do have one amendment to the agenda. I'd like to add a conversation on our transfer policy to follow item E. Well, actually, it would follow item F, but we don't have anything in item F, G, and H. So it would fall after item H. Sorry, get my words here right. So is there a motion on the floor to amend the agenda to include a discussion around our transfer policy?
So moved.
Thank you, Tony. Is there a second?
Second.
Well, thank you, Steve. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great, thank you. Okay, at this time, we do need to approve the agenda as amended. Did I just do that?
Yep.
Okay. Ooh, brain dead today, sorry. So let's, I'm going to turn it over to Brian, who will lead us in the pledge after a moment of silence. So if we could just take a moment of silence.
If you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brian. At this time, we have several items on the consent agenda. If the board will just take a look at that, and I'll accept a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Make the motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Patsy. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? At this time, we will move to public comments. I have two individuals who know our process of 3 minutes, and so I invite Stephanie Braxton to the podium from Alamance Citizens for Education.
Madam Chairman, Board, Dr. Harrison, my name is Stephanie Braxton. I'm with Alamance Citizens for Education. Tonight, I'd like to share with you 5 quick facts that you may or may not know. This is according to the Americans for the Arts. A student involved in the arts is 4 times more likely to be recognized for academic achievement. Low-income students who are highly engaged in the arts are twice as likely to graduate college as their peers with no arts education. 72% of business leaders say that creativity is the #1 skill they are seeking when hiring. 93% of Americans believe that the arts are vital to providing a well-rounded education. And 97% of elementary schools nationwide don't offer dance, and 96% don't offer theater. So ACE applauds you, the Board of Education, for supporting programs like Arts Plus, the A+ Arts Integration Program at North Graham Elementary, and the many other performing arts programs in all our schools. So we encourage you to continue growing programs like these. I'm thrilled to announce that ACE will be hosting, for the 11th year in a row, Stage Struck. The event will take place on Saturday, April 14th, 7 p.m. at Williams High School Auditorium. More than 300 of our Alamance County students will take the stage to show off their talents in dance and music. At ACE, we are pleased to be able to provide this opportunity for not only our teachers and their students, but the Alamance County community as a whole. Our mission at ACE is to strengthen community support for quality public education, and one of our goals is to celebrate and showcase student achievements. We believe Stage Struck does just that. So we hope you will support our teachers and our students by attending this year's Stage Struck. These students are some of our brightest, and some of the brightest that we have in ABSS. So I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Thank you.
Thank you. And, you know, I'm a big fan of that stage struck. So thank you for continuing that. Erica Johnson, ABAE.
Good evening. Before I begin, I'd like to thank the board for your hard work in choosing the new superintendent. It looks like he's a very promising man, and he made some great comments today, and we look forward to working with him. We can't just look at the educational system. Kids are saying enough is enough, not just in the school system, but worldwide. We have to change the face of society to match the things that these children see on a day-to-day basis. We're not teaching them how to be successful, formative citizens of society, but we're teaching them to be fearful. We're teaching them that it's not okay, but this is what they have to deal with. You're not arming them with the ability to speak and be heard, but with the thought that we need to be fearful because this is what the society we live in. Well, enough is enough. Arm us with the ability to teach our children how to be informed, enlightened, and educated, not just fearful. Not just stating that we need to amp up our security, but we need to educate our children on how to be safe and how to form relationships that will help them build better demographics, and how to build relationships so that they know how to communicate more effectively with their mouth as opposed to seeking out violence, which therefore put our students at risk because they're coming back into the system, harming other students. While arming us with a safer learning environment, we would like to request that you arm us with a few other things. The resources and funding needed to help students experiencing mental health issues. The time and resources to meet the student needs of all our students. More school counselors per school. More time to teach my students about the importance of self-love. More time to show them how much they are loved by others. More school psychologists and counselors to meet the needs of all our students who need them. Enough planning time and tools to help our students interact with awareness, sensitivity, and knowledge of perspective of others. A colorful library filled with diverse stories and characters in which our students see themselves. Books that introduce new perspectives. Books that allow escape and will empower, teach, and evoke empathy and compassion and entertain all readers. Knowledge, support, and resources to be proactive instead of reactive. Ample time in our daily schedule to support the development and social emotional skills and social emotional learning is just as important as academic learning. Arm us with the time in our day and space in our curriculum to encourage and support the development of the whole child. Essential support staff to ensure each child receives the attention he or she needs and deserves. Arm us with the diversity training so that we may meet our students where they're at, better understand and value our students, gain knowledge and empathy so that we can teach them rather than suspending them, embrace them rather than expelling them. Not for threatening anyone, not for talking about what they're going to do to anyone, but merely for their presence. It's not about their intelligence. It's not about their ability. It's not about their willingness to engage. It's about the rules of engagement that we construct for them. We shouldn't be a system of educators that suffer from cultural agnosia.
As a point of preference, I would like to see Ms. Johnson finish her statement, if that's okay with the board.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Agnosia is the loss of the ability to identify objects or people. Let's not be a student that only recognizes brilliance when it looks like them, but unable to identify it when it doesn't. Arm us with the diversity training so that our educators are able to recognize and identify brilliance when it doesn't look like them. Arm us with restorative justice PDs that empowers us to transform rather than punish. As Angela Davis said, when children attend schools that place a greater value on discipline and security than on knowledge and intellectual development, they're attending prep schools for prison. Have we already defined them? If we define them, then we've confined them to our limitations. On April 16, we plan to show up in great numbers to show our commitment when the county commissioners vote. Along with the school bond, arm us with the time and ability to focus on the infrastructure. We must focus on what's inside. We must take care of the people inside, the educators and the students. Arm our beginning teachers with support. You can renovate a house, give it curb appeal, purchase fancy decor. However, none of this makes a house a home. It's the support, love, and quality time spent on those on the inside of it. Not only did our students get informed through the mass media on February 14th about the 17 students at Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, A little over a month later, on March 18th, they learned about Stefan Clark in Sacramento, California. Black Lives Matter, Brown Lives Matter, all lives matter. We propose we address this by arming us with schools that are culturally responsive schools, that utilize culturally responsive curriculum and instruction, that recognizes students' cultural backgrounds, home environments, and the impact of student experiences on the teaching and learning process. Allow us to focus on the learning gap versus the achievement gap, the reasons individuals aren't learning rather than the metrics. Allow us to focus on the attitude gap, the gap between students who believe in themselves and those who don't. Allow us to focus on the relationship gap, students who have a solid relationship with educators versus those who don't. Allow us to focus on the relevance gap, lessons that students can apply to their daily lives versus lessons that are abstract and tangible. Our students become successful when there's communication between adults, school, home community, and legislators who have students' best interests at heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Well, that just shows where my brain is. Thank you. I apologize. I skipped over the approval of our minutes and the recognition, so we're going to back up a little bit on this agenda. My apologies. May I have may I have a motion to approve the minutes that have been posted?
So moved.
Thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Jenny, I'm so sorry. We have recognition. Let's go. All the good things. Steve, you have recognitions?
Good evening. We got a full house tonight, which is awesome to see. We have some outstanding student leaders and teacher leaders that we're going to recognize tonight, so let's get started. I'd like to ask two very special students from Graham Middle School and their teacher if they would please come forward. And that is Kristen McAdoo and Noelle Sobovaro Franco. Please come up here.
I know you. That's right.
So it's really exciting to get to recognize middle schoolers for participating in a national event. So back in February, I believe, these two young students were selected at Graham Middle School to participate in the National Amazing Shake at the Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta, Georgia. National, let me say that again, the word national. So I would like Ms. Kroger to please talk a little bit about it, and I would love to hear from Noelle and Kristen about your favorite experience. So if you would please explain what they accomplished, which is pretty amazing.
I will, absolutely. So, hello, board. Hello, Dr. Harrison. Hello, audience. My name is Linda Kroger, and I'm a 6th grade English teacher at Graham Middle School. This year, every single student in our school had the opportunity to be where Kristen and Noelle are. We did something called Falcon FaceTime. And basically, Falcon FaceTime is an initiative that recognizes academics are important. English, math, science, it is important. However, the soft skills such as etiquette, communication skills, honestly are just as important as academics in the book. So we had a 5-round Falcon FaceTime competition, and the first round was open to any middle schooler. They gave a 60-second speech to their peers about a topic that was passionate to them. From that point, we had 50 finalists who participated in a 5-round gauntlet. They had to eat with etiquette. They had to debate a current event. They had to do a mock college scholarship interview with our guidance department, speak to a camera, so on and so forth. Our 3rd round was taking care of business. They had to motivate a team. They had to fire someone, and they didn't know they were firing me. And you know, roll with the punches. And eventually we got down to our final 2. Noelle was the last man standing for, I think, the last 3 rounds, and Miss Kristen won. She's a 7th grader. She won in 6th grade. She also won in 7th grade. So these 2 co-champions represented our school in Atlanta. Now, in Atlanta, there were 137 students from 3 countries, actually. England and Honduras also had students that qualified for the event. And in Atlanta, Kristen and Noel, they both participated in about 50 different challenges. The Ron Clark Gauntlet, I think, had 47 events. They had to do interviews, and after the first day, because it was a 3-day competition, Noel was in the top 30 of 137, and then day 2, wow, it was just incredible. Kristen and Noel not only got to hear motivational speakers, but they participated in events. Kristen just continued to do so well. Noel also did well, and by the end of it, we kept getting down from 137, I think, to the top 40, the top 24, the top 12, and Kristen was still in it. And then we got into the top 10. Saturday, she was still in it. And on Sunday, Kristen made it to the very final round of competition. She made it to the final 6. She was the last student from any public school in the competition, and she made it to the final day. So that was so exciting. And what was also so great is that both Kristen and Noel's family were able to go to the event. They're here with us today. Noel and I were just sitting in the stands cheering with joy at Kristen, and it was phenomenal. So what Noel and Kristen are going to do is they're going to share one of the many things that they learned through their experience with you all. So Noel, take it away.
Hi, I'm Noel, and I think one of the things that inspired me the most was one of the motivational speakers. They said, quote, life is like basically movies. There's a beginning, middle, and end. And yes, there's going to be some parts that are scary, some parts that are happy, some parts that are sad, and most of all parts that are going to keep you on your end of the seat to find out what happens next. But if you give up right there, if you pause the movie, where are you going to go? Are you going to know what happens next? No, if you just give up right there and then, what are you going to do? So it's to never give up and to keep on going on and stay to the credits. Thank you.
That's awesome.
My name is Kristen. I just stood over here just so I could see everyone's beautiful faces. One thing that I took away was when you're going into a competition, to never look at it as a competition. Look at it as learning something new, meeting new people, and having fun. One thing that really stuck out to me, and one of the rounds that really helped me, was we had to go on stage and we had to answer a few questions with a girl. She does a talk show on TV. And that really encouraged me to let me know that, as Noel said, life is like a movie. And you can't just give up just because you don't win something or something doesn't go as you plan. You have to keep on going. You have to keep on, going with the program, learning new things, because every day we learn something new. And that was a really great experience for me, going to Atlanta, meeting all the kids that were there. And it was just like a really life-changing event. I met some really great teachers and principals, and I know that they can help me, getting into a good college. I want to go to Harvard, and I want to just get a good education, and I really just enjoyed the great experience and learning new things.
Wow. Congratulations. That's for Noel, and this is for Kristen.
Noel?
Congratulations.
It's hard to say. This is amazing. You've just really outdone yourselves. And I'd like to ask if there are any family members of these two young people and ask you, here with you tonight.
Please stand up.
Please stand. Also, I'd like to ask any faculty or staff members from Graham Middle School to stand this time.
And they're on intercession, so thank you very much for taking time to come tonight. We appreciate
I will
it.
say our principal, Mr. Williams, wanted to be here. He went
Yes.
to Atlanta, so did Miss Burko, but they are in Boston right now at a conference, so they couldn't quite make it.
Thank you and
Thank you.
congratulations.
So good to see you. Congratulations, Kristen. So proud of you, hon. Congratulations. Ms. Kroger, I bet you are just extraordinary in your classroom. After watching you at Shark Tank, I would love to watch you in a classroom. What a gift you are to our system.
I just think you need a little more enthusiasm.
And you noticed Kristen was
working it just like her.
No, she's got a good teacher. Congratulations.
So next, we've got some exciting student leaders that are involved in North Carolina Student Council. If they would all please come up along with their advisors. Don't be shy, come on up. So a couple of weekends ago, we had 4 different high schools participate in a North Carolina Student Council event. And we have some amazing state-level awards that we'd like to tell you about tonight. So first, we have 3 schools that earned the Louise Hunter Honor Council Award. And I hope we have representatives from everywhere tonight. We have Eastern Alamance High School. Is your advisor down the end? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Southern Alamance High School.
Okay, congratulations.
And Walter Williams High School. Way down on the end.
We know him. We know him.
So the Louise Hunter Honor Council is given to outstanding and superior student councils across the state. So this is a highly coveted honor, and we're pleased to have 3 schools represented in this North Carolina opportunity. So congratulations to you, but don't go anywhere yet. Next, we have 3 students who were honored with the North Carolina Student Council Hall of Fame. And they are Taylor Coffey from Southern Alamance High School. Congratulations to you, Taylor.
Taylor.
Brandon Fries from Southern Alamance. Congratulations, Brandon.
Congratulations.
And Jordan Ward from Southern Alamance.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. I don't know many high school students who can say that they're in the Hall of Fame. So congratulations to you. Next, we also had 3 different high schools that had students participate in elections process to earn a state-level recognition or a state-level office and district office. So we're proud to say that Alex Pardue from Williams High School will serve as the Central District Chair for next year, and Alex is also on the golf team. So he said he could only be here tonight if it rained. So obviously, he had a beautiful day for a golf match. So Alex, we've got a certificate for him. If our Williams folks would make sure that he gets that, we would appreciate it. Job or Sayer, would you? Okay, awesome. Joseph Banco from Eastern Alamance is a rising senior, and he's going to serve as the state secretary for next school year. Congratulations, Joseph. And I think this follows an office that you held this year, correct?
Yes, I was communications over the last year.
So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And Zach Clemens from Southern Alamance, he's a rising junior. He is going to be the president-elect for the North Carolina State Council of Student Councils next year, which means the following year, he will be the president, and Southern Alamance will host the state conference in that year. So, Zach, you've got a lot of work ahead. So I know we've got some advisors down on the end. Would they like to give us a few words of wisdom about the state council and what student councils mean at the high schools? We would love to hear from you.
Well, I think Alamance County has got an amazing superintendent and support staff. I've worked in other counties and have not received the support and the encouragement that I've received here, and that's enabled us to go to these conferences and to participate as a county. And so I really would like to thank everybody who's made that possible, Mr. Lane and especially Dr. Harrison, who's done the student council route for his entire career. And so next fall, when we need your support to help us have the district conference in Alamance County, please help us.
I actually don't have anything to say. I might want to write that down.
Just to echo what Robin said, I think Christy and I especially, we've been doing this in Alamance County for a few years now, and I think having the support of Mr. Lane, Dr. Harrison, has really transformed our school's ability to get involved at the state level. And then now this year, it's really exciting that this summer we have some students going to the national conference, and we're really excited about that as well. So I think having the support of the administration of the district has been really key for us. So we hope that we can see next year Graham up here and Western up here, all the other high schools, Cummings, and hopefully we can get a really great community going around the student council.
So you just want to take over the North Carolina Council with all ABSS high schools? That's what you're saying, okay.
I can,
Sounds good.
I second what you just said, but maybe we get the other high schools in here also. But let me just say this, my daughter graduated from Southern 1997. I don't want to say a few years ago, but that's not a few years ago. And she wouldn't appreciate me saying that, by the way. And she was highly involved in the student council at Southern, but also at the district and state level. So I'm glad that things continue to pick up, and hope we can see all our high schools here. But congratulations to you all. Are there any staff members or administrators from Southern, Eastern, or Williams here tonight?
I see some.
How about parents? Do you have any parents? Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Hope you'll run for an elected office in a few years.
Amen.
Yeah.
Our last recognition tonight is for teacher leaders. So if you are involved with Elon Elementary, if you will please come forward. There's got to be a bunch of folks in the audience from Elon Elementary.
Here they come.
Tweeting again.
Y'all don't get too close to the attorney now, he bites.
So back in December, Elon Elementary was honored at the North Carolina School Superintendent, State Board of Education, for being a global ready school. So we have a plaque for you guys to, I know you got a great big banner, but we're going to give you a plaque for that. But you were one of four schools that earned the Global Ready School designation. And I believe Mr. Davern and Ms. Pennington were the two first administrators to earn the Global Ready Digital Badge. Is that correct? Congratulations, first in the state of North Carolina. So we have a certificate for Mr. Davern and Ms. Pennington for that great accomplishment. First in the state, that's pretty impressive. Congratulations.
I'm going to let you take this too. Perfect.
And then we have a whole host of Elon Elementary staff members who earned the Global Ready Digital Badge, North Carolina State recognition. And I'd like to call you names. Amanda Stiegel was the very first teacher, I believe, to earn that award.
Thank you.
Tia Gillum Wilson. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Emily Palathorpe. Congratulations. Tracy Dix. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sue Cawley. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nancy McGuire. Congratulations. Amber Honeycutt. Congratulations. Sandra Bays. Congratulations. Paola Contreras. Congratulations. Crystal Johnson. Congratulations. Matthew Agner. Congratulations. So, Mr. Davin, would you give just a brief overview of what all is involved? Please.
Thank you. Well, there's two different areas of recognition. So the first was North Carolina Global Ready School, and that is the work of everybody up here and those that are still seated right here from Elon. This takes a lot of work, and the application process is rigorous. It does look at how we build and develop global competence with our teachers through professional development, but also how we deliver that to our students through the curriculum. So it isn't a program per se, but it is a way to enrich the standards with global competence. So many of the things that we want our students to have to be a productive member of a global society. So there are very few schools in the state of North Carolina that have the designation. You can see those on the website on the Global Learning page, and there are, I think, 4 elementary schools. So we are one of those 4. So we're very proud of that, and that this cannot be done. One person cannot do this. It is a school initiative. So that is impressive. I'm very proud of our accomplishment with that. On top of it, I am ecstatic about the number of Global Educator digital badges that we've earned in our school. I think we have the most Global Educator, GEDB, Global Educator Digital Badge earners in one school than across the state combined. So you can look on the website. The one last time I checked, there were 27, so we have, I believe, 14 in our school. So 27 across the state, and this many in our school. We also have 5 that are in progress right now, and we have about 8 more that are coming on next year. That is an intense process. That takes teachers, they deliver after 100 hours or through 100 hours of global education training. They deliver lessons, they embed it into practices. You walk in our school, you can see it every day, alive. And then they create a capstone project. And this project involves extensive writing. It's writing state curriculum is what it ends up being. It is, their lessons are in a bank, so they have to be available for everyone to read and implement. So quite an impressive feat, very challenging, very rigorous, and as challenging and as rigorous as it is, that's how proud I am of all of you for this accomplishment, and you out there and our students at Elon. What a great accomplishment. And there's more to come, so hang on.
Congratulations.
Mr. Davin and staff, you all have set a high bar for the other global schools in our county. And I've got a granddaughter that started kindergarten at Alexander Wilson this year, and she's in the immersion program. And I hope that this is going to inspire them to do great things at that school and the other schools as well. Are there any spouses here?
And other educators, if you
Well,
want to stand up.
Other staff members from
Yeah.
Elon, please stand. Now, are there any spouses? Okay, thanks a lot. Oh, a student. We have a student here. Where? Oh, back here. I about forgot the most important part of that.
That's right.
So, thank you all so
Congratulations.
much, and congratulations.
Yeah. Steve, could you bring the microphone over? Next, I'd like to ask, we've got some representatives here tonight for United Way of Alamance County to make a very special announcement. They might need that. They might, yeah. It is just, it's actually a gift. Thank you, Heidi. Thanks.
And do just this. We should have an awards meeting and do just this.
Do you all want to come up too? Dr. Reed, Curry, Sabra? Yeah, that would be great. I think Sabra's here too. There she is. Come on up, Sabra. Good evening. Thank you, school board members, Dr. Harrison, and others and guests. My name is Heidi Norwick, and I am the president of United Way of Alamance County. Thank you so much for including us in this evening's agenda. We have some very exciting news to share. Before I get into that, I would like to give you a little background. Women United was created as a part of the United Way Worldwide initiative in 2002. Since then, it has grown to 70,000 women worldwide who have raised $1.5 billion for their communities across the world. Last summer, we decided to start a chapter here in Alamance County. Meetings began in July to bring together a group of leadership donors with United Way, focusing on philanthropy and how collectively we can work towards a thriving Alamance County where everyone has opportunities for a great life. Months of exploration took place about what the group's impact could be. There is so much work to be done in our community. Then we found it, and there was no mistaking it after we made the right choice. Women United Steering Committee fell in love with the Leader in Me program after seeing it in action at Andrews Elementary. As you know, the Leader in Me program is an amazing way to teach children and ground them in the principles that are needed for the 21st century. Things like leadership, responsibility, accountability, problem solving, communication, to name a few. Though our group is not even a year old, we have a great accomplishment to share with you. Thanks to an anonymous gift to our Women United, we are able to present the Alamance Burlington school system with a check for $65,000 to start a Leader in Me program at Haw River Elementary. The members of Women United, the board and staff, and also it includes a $5,000 gift to Andrews Elementary after visiting with Sabra and finding out some of the needs and wants there to get T-shirts for the staff and some exciting things to support the program that they're doing there too is also included. Our board and staff and volunteers, who we have some of our volunteers with us, and let me introduce everybody. This is Jennifer Hudson. She's with United Way. She's our Director of Resource Development. We have Julie McAteer, our Director of Finance and Administration. I know that. Maybe I'll let you all introduce yourselves. How's that? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jill. Jill Plunkett, I'm a volunteer. Jill Plunkett, I'm a volunteer.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tiffany Pittard, and I'm a volunteer as well.
I'm Dr. Reed, and I'm the principal at Haw River Elementary.
I'm Curry Bryan, and I'm the assistant principal at Haw River.
Good evening. Sabra Robinson, principal at Andrews Elementary School.
I can't tell you what that experience was like to be walk into a school that I heard the new superintendent state today something about, when you hear about a school that has maybe free and reduced lunch or a grade of something, but when you walk into the doors of schools where there's passion for all the employees and teachers like you and the students are excited, it's just invigorating to be taken around a school and toured in a school by third graders. No teachers around, no principals. They showed us the way and showed us all the amazing things in their school. It was just incredible for us, and I could go on, and I won't. But we know that this means so much for the children, the families, and the staff and the community associated with these two schools, as well as the work that's being done in Newland. So we are committed to continue to raise money for the Leader in Me program and hope that next year we're right back here again to say we're starting it in another school. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Heidi, thank you so much, and I think we'll actually vote on this, but we have to do that a little bit later.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much.
I hope you vote yes.
Count on it. Think about that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So at this time, we will move back to superintendent and student representative. So Dr. Harrison?
Okay, I'd like to introduce Job Williamson. Joe is a senior. Job was actually with us last year. He's the student body president at Williams. He's been class president for each class in his 4 years at At Williams, he's a member of the Superintendent Student Advisory Council, plans to attend college and study political science. Joe.
Thank you, Dr. Harrison.
I am honored to be here again. This is my second time speaking in front of the board and probably going to be my last time. So it's a little sentimental to me. I don't know if I'll cry or not, but we'll see. Thank you all for, over the years, I've talked to each one of you deeply about problems that have faced our school system. And I've said with Dr. Harrison many of times, we have talked about things as well that face our school system. Now, thank you each for giving me the light and giving me very great observations on other things I would have not been able to see. Thank you all visitors for coming, to our commissioners. Great to see you again. Today I will be talking about civic engagement. Over the past 2 years, civic engagement has become a very key part of my life. It started out with the Alamance Institute. I was a part of the first cohort. Elon University, I started there, and we went every day for about, I believe, 4 weeks. It felt like more than 4 weeks, but we was learning about very serious topics that faced our communities and very serious things that changed lives. And we came up with plans to change lives, and we came up with plans to help our school system out. As the school year went on, we have things that happened in our schools across America that changed that. We have people who win offices that we don't think should win them. We have great discussions, and we need to have more discussions. There are kids I deal with now at school that, want to talk about very serious topics, but feel like there are teachers or parents that won't be able to understand where they're coming from or won't see the view of that. And that comes from civic education. Ms. Johnson talked about a little bit about it today. We need more topics that stimulate our minds. We need more topics that help us reach our goals, that let us be informed, because if you don't know it or not, most of the kids in Alamance school system are not informed about what things are happening around their city. And so the word civic comes from 3 elements of definition. One is if or to pertain to the citizenship or citizens, or even the city. So what they're saying is that most students don't even have basic knowledge of what's going on in their government. And I feel that Alamance school system is trying to make that effort to make everything better and to get more people involved in student council, get more people involved in the academics, of get involved with helping out in the communities. And we're making a great stride. I have talked to Mr. Bob Bird today about some things that was hitting the key hearts of people. And I hope and I urge, as we go into new administration with new superintendent, that you guys don't forget that we have a bigger responsibilities to teach them, out of the book, but also give them life lessons. And that's basically what civic education and civic engagement is. It's good. It's all good and dandy until, someone go out there and say the wrong thing and not understand, and then someone blast them on the internet like, well, he comes from Alamance school system. Well, he wasn't informed right. And I know you guys will do this great things. That's why I love coming to Alamance school system, because it's the greatest school system on this side of heaven. Thank you so much.
No doubt you will go far.
Remember me when you're famous.
All right, Dr. Monroe, I believe you have some gifts for us this evening.
Santa Claus.
And then we're doing the most.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, and Dr. Harrison. 4 gifts have been received, and they are as follows. Turntime received a gift of $3,200 from an anonymous donor of Burlington. The gift is earmarked to purchase supplies and install a new kiln at the school, which is good. Second gift, Pleasant Grove received a donation of $2,051.47 from the PTA. The donation is designated for the general fund at the school. Third gift, ABSS has received a donation of 6 automated external defibrillators valued at $5,322 from Mr. Josh Mann of Mebane. A defibrillator will be placed at each high school. The last gift, which you just heard from United Way, repeating it again, Raw River has received a gift of $60,000 from an anonymous donor from Women United of United Way of Alamance County. And the donation has been provided to designate another elementary school to house a Lead in Me program. Additionally, Andrews Elementary received a gift of $5,000 from an anonymous donor of the United Way of Alamance County. The donation will aid in purchasing T-shirts for each student to showcase the Lead in Me program. As it stands now, the total amount received is $116,423.97.
Make a motion, we accept these gifts as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I'd just like to thank all those that gave, especially our representatives here at the United Way, once again, for your generosity and investment in our community and school system.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, Dr. Monroe.
Thank you.
Good. We're now going to hear from Michael Lane on our outreach services.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, and Dr. Harrison. We're going to go over a few things that's happening within the outreach division. One piece is, or one grant is the Gear Up North Carolina grant that's funded through the U.S. Department of Education in partnership with UNC General Administration. We are in year 6 of 7. The purpose of this grant is to increase the number of students that enter into post-secondary education and successfully graduate. The next, we have a TRIO talent search grant that's also funded through Department of Ed in partnership with North Carolina A&T State University. We are in year 2 of 5, and there again, this partnership is to increase college awareness and access through different applications for our students in middle and high school. We also have another grant funded through North Carolina Science, the National Science Foundation, in partnership there again with North Carolina A&T State University. We are in year 2 of 2. This actually funds a STEM enrichment program where students actually go on campus for 2 weeks at North Carolina A&T. We now pending, we have another grant that we've actually partnered with. It's a STEM Educator Professional Development Grant funded through National Science Foundation in partnership with North Carolina A&T State University, where educators of STEM will receive professional development and resources, and this is a 5-year grant as well. Next, we're joining forces with 3 other school districts across the state in efforts to receive another Gear Up Partnership grant that will last 7 years, and that's funded through U.S. Department of Education with ACC as serving as the fiscal agent. There's also one other grant that we're actually working with right now to look at the resources provided to ensure that it will be beneficial for all of our students. That's another TRIO grant. It's called the Equal Opportunity Center through Person County that would like to come in and serve some of our students. And we're actually talking with them now to ensure that this is a better fit and best fit for our schools within the system. Some of the enrichment programs, we have Success by Design. That's a college access conference for the district that actually serves K through 12, communicating with students and parents about college access and what those resources that we have within the district that you can actually capitalize on to increase your success in post-secondary ed. Next, we have a partnership with the Harvard Club of Research Triangle. This will be the first year that they're actually sponsoring in partnership with ABSS, Early College Awareness Day. The first one is actually going to be April 21st. This is for grades 5 through 8, specifically for those students. We also have ABSS College Fair in partnership with Dr. Norfleet and Student Support Services. That was on March 19th at Mebane Arts Center. It was a really successful event. This is the second year that we've partnered with different institutions across the state and out of state to come in and serve and provide this service for our students and community. Next, we have the Medical Bridge Summer Enrichment Day Camp. That's in partnership with Alamance Community College. And this one is the second year as well for that one. We're actually looking at additional funds to continue to sustain this one in partnership with ABSS. We also have a Medical Bridge Extension that also generates more awareness around the medical field, and that's in partnership with UNC Chapel Hill School of Medicine. And this would be actually the first Summer Enrichment Day Camp with UNC School of Medicine. Next, we have another middle school therapeutic education program with UNC Chapel Hill School of Medicine as well, where we actually have 15 students that attend the medical program in Chapel Hill for 4 weeks in October, 4 weekends in October, and 4 weekends in February. The STEM hydroponics camp that we have on campus, and we alluded to that some a few minutes ago, where the funding actually comes from. But this one will be on campus at North Carolina A&T in partnership with ACC and North Carolina Central University, where we'll take 40 students to that campus. And then also we have a family academy that served in a pilot capacity this year, where we actually had students come in and present on different post-secondary opportunities that they've received through multiple mini grants. Also, we have Girls in Robotics in partnership with Alamance Community College that will be a Summer Enrichment Day program. And this would be for middle school, grades 8 through 10 girls that are interested in robotics. Also through outreach, we provided standardized test prep opportunities, 2 of those this year for the entire district. One was in September, and Eastern hosted that one. We also had another in February that was hosted by Western High School. And next is that's pretty exciting, and we are actually partnering with Alamance Community College to provide an ABSS College and Career Day at Alamance Community College. So this, we will have every 5th grader will have the opportunity or will actually attend a career day at Alamance Community College. So that's going to be early in the fall, and Alamance, the community college, is actually going to provide all the resources on campus, and we have minimal obligations from our end. And also, we're going to take all of our 8th graders to ACC as well. And this is an effort to ensure that we provide awareness of multiple careers to these students at an early age. That's it. Thank you.
Well, that's a
Have anything?
lot.
Yeah.
And we talked at work session about making sure that our students were aware of these opportunities, because there are some outstanding opportunities here for our students. And I would challenge any other district to see if they're doing what we are for outreach. So thank you for
Right.
your hard work.
Absolutely.
We
Thank you.
really appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Okay, let me make sure I don't skip anything else, because I'm good at it. So we added to the agenda a conversation around our transfer policy. Who would like to begin commenting on that?
I guess I will, since I suggested that we add it to the agenda. And just giving thought to where we are in terms of school capacity and what our needs are, As most of you know, for, I guess as long as I've been on this board, I've been concerned with the fact that I believe that transfers add additional students to schools that already are heavily populated, if not overcrowded. And being that we're going forward, hopefully, with the bond referendum to address building a new school, as well as making some other changes to address capacity, I was just looking and trying to forecast, and the forecast is what will we do if in fact the bond is approved and it takes another 3 to 4 years to build a new high school. What can this board do now to be proactive to address student capacity, particularly in terms of safety? As you know, when you have situations where children, a lot of children in the hallway, when you're over capacity, over the cafeteria limits, whatever, that can also be a safety hazard. So, and the fact that we see new construction going on constantly in these very high populated school districts, such as the Eastern High School, Western, and Southern. So I have wanted this discussion for this board to consider voting on a moratorium to suspend new grade span transfers into our overpopulated school. Now, this board has in the past year or two used I think 85% growth in the schools, and we use that in terms of student transfers. But the issues are, we've said to the public, Williams, I want a moratorium on all the schools at this point, but we know Southern, Eastern, and Western are extremely overcrowded. There are new developments being built. We know we can't get a new school for at least 3 to 4 years. So why add any additional students that is not their home-based school? So I am asking this board to consider a motion to not approve any new grade spans unless administration approves them, which you have that authority in our policy 4010, based on safe, health, those kind of issues that's outlined in the policy. Now, make it very clear, those students who are already on a grade span, you get to continue to the completion of that grade span. I am not suggesting that we pull any student who is currently on a transfer out, but I am asking for us to be very proactive to address our capacity issues in preparation, hopefully of the bond and a new school, that we put a moratorium on any new grade span transfers. So that's what I'm asking, but it's not in the form of a motion yet. I would like for some discussion.
Are you speaking, now you're talking about all grade spans, K-5, 6, 8, and high school?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we need to really take the next 3 to 4 years to really look at our true capacities, and that's without a bunch of, transfer ins and transfers outs, and let things kind of settle down in preparation of hopefully our redistricting as well as our new high school.
And that's including the schools that are not at 85% capacity. That's all schools.
Whatever's easier for Mr. Braylor's office, we can discuss that. But at this point, I think we really need to see what our schools really would be like in terms of capacity. The fair thing would just do it throughout the school system, and unless it falls within the guidelines already established and which administration can approve.
Okay.
What would be the change then if, I'm trying to, so the 4010 outlines the conditions in which the administration can approve or recommend the transfer, which includes the capacity. It states the 85% capacity. So you're talking, the change would be, when you say moratorium, it's not on the policy, it's a policy of related to the grade span whereas you'd be open to for a 1-year period? Is that
No,
where you're saying
from now
all
until-
transfer, 1 year or grade span, the policy as a whole?
They're under 4010, and I think specifically it's 4010.3 that talks about grade span. So what I'm asking for is it says that in 4010 that your grade span, your transfer ends as of that grade span. What I'm saying is we're not going to entertain any additional ones under 4010.3. The ones that Mr. Braylor's office consider, it's for all those reasons up there. In other words, this summer, this board should not be hearing grade span transfers under 4010.3 because Mr. Braylor's office would have already approved those that meet the deadline, the criteria.
Okay, let me be sure that I've got this right, Patsy. So what you're saying is that just the new students, say we've got a student that's in the 5th grade now and is applying for going to 6th grade at a school outside their district, and if we grant it, it would just be for 1 year and 1 year only, and then they'd have to come back to the board.
No. I'm saying for a 5th grader student who would be going to middle school and they are asking for a transfer out of their district, that we not approve those unless they fall within the guidelines that administration can approve. Administration looks at them first. If administration feels that they fall within that criteria that we have, then he will approve them. If it did not, and it would come before this board, that we not entertain those. Do you understand? I see Mr. Braylor shaking his head. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think I do. Are you talking about no new kind of elective transfers? Or it's just, I feel like I want to go, but it had to do with health and safety or the...
Right. Daycare, or because the other sibling went, or, all those reasons that this board hear every summer.
So they'd have to be based on one of those exceptions.
Right.
And that's it. So if they come before us, it's got to be what's
It
in the
shouldn't come
policy.
before us, is what
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying.
Oh, okay.
So Adam, can you talk a little bit about legal implications, if any, of that potential change in the policy?
So the right to have a transfer appeal to the board is statutory. So we can't put a stop on transfers. I think you could look at your policy on grade span. I think that's within your discretion as far as how you want to do that. You currently have it expressed as a grade span transfer. That if the board wished to amend that, it certainly could. But I don't think you could legally say if administration doesn't appeal it, that's it, because that's taking away the rights under 115C369. And there's set criteria, and it's in your policy: best interest of the child, orderly and efficient administration, proper administration of the school, health, safety of pupils, and other legal requirements imposed by the board. You have to have that hearing and apply those criteria no matter what the administration does. If the administration approves it, then it doesn't need to come to you. But if a family is displeased with administration's decision, whatever that is, they have the right to come to you whether you want to hear it or not.
But
Have you spoken to any other district in that regards? Because I've spoken to several, and their board never hear those type of the transfers that you're referring to. And I'm getting the story that the board can delegate that to administration, and administration does that. Now, that's my understanding of it. And I know all of us go to all kinds of workshops, and we're the only ones to sit here all summer and have these board hearings on transfers.
I don't agree that you're the only ones that have the hearing. There are some options for delegation. You can either have panels, which is what you have, if I'm not mistaken, or you can have a hearing officer, but that hearing officer has the authority to find facts and recommend a decision, and then there would still be the right to, the bottom line is that ultimately the board needs to make the decision. whether you have a full-blown hearing or a panel or a hearing officer, any of those are permissible, but the statute's clear that the final decision is the board.
We've discussed that a year or two ago.
Yes.
So you're the attorney.
Correct.
You hear what I'm asking.
Right.
So I'm asking you to tell me how, or give this board a recommendation as to how we can address our capacity issue, knowing we don't have the space. And if that's a legal reason to deny a transfer, how can we do that without a hearing? Or are you saying we have to have the hearing, but we can all agree that we are not going to approve those?
You have to have a hearing, or a hearing officer needs to have a hearing, and the standards that the board or the hearing officer needs to apply are set out in the statute.
Okay, I understand that, but you're not answering my question. You're not answering the question. I want you, as our attorney, I understand all those items that's set out in the policy. I want you to tell us, how can we address the fact that we should not be allowing students outside of their district to attend a school that is already over capacity and we don't have the space?
I honestly, respectfully, I don't think that's my job. My job is to tell you what the bounds of the law are, policy decisions about how you want to address certain things.
Well, excuse me, Adam, with all due respect, you have a tendency to tell us quite often what your recommendation is. So I'm having an issue with you of telling me at this point that you don't feel that that's your job. Dr. Harrison, maybe you can help us then, or you can find someone at a law firm who can, in fact, tell us how to protect our children when our schools are overcrowded, they're eating lunch outside, we're waiting on a bond referendum. How and what can we do to ensure that we are not putting additional stress on our schools by allowing children outside of their home base to attend the school? What can be done, since he can't do that?
We had a hearing officer in another county, and that hearing officer would make the recommendation to the board, and the board would make the decision. But the individual did not have a hearing in front of the board or a board committee. It was just that hearing officer. Ultimately, the list of transfers comes to the board just like a personnel list, and the board says yay or nay. But the hearing officer did the hearing and made a recommendation based on that.
You know, it's not a matter of, we all take time, and we all know we have to do these appeal hearings during the summer. It's not a matter of my time. What I can't get him to hear, which I thought some of us agreed, is that we have a capacity problem. And we can't keep putting children in schools that are overcrowded. We have addressed it, hopefully, with this bond, and then in 4 years, we can address that. But every year, for schools such as Western, Southern, and Eastern, when we have these hearings, there's no consistency, but the issue is, we're not going there with the discussion, it's all about putting children in schools that's already over capacity. And are you telling me there's no way to stop that?
I would think the board...
Then why do we even have the 80%, the percentiles or whatever?
Well, I think the board can give very emphatic directions to the superintendent that other than the reasons in 40.5, I think, they're not to be approved to those schools. So, and Andy doesn't, Mr. Breller has not approved those, and that's why they end up in front of you.
Right.
Then, parent appeals Mr. Breller's decision, and then we have a hearing officer who hears it on behalf of the board, but knows the board's desire not to allow students in that school, so the hearing officer hears the case and recommends to the board that you deny the appeal.
That's a very viable solution. I mean, what we...
I understand that, but I'm trying to understand what's the difference between a hearing officer and us, because it's not our time. Other than it would be some consistency with one person hearing the same story, whereas now that's not the case.
When you have a group of 3
Different people.
groups of three see it different ways. If an individual is a hearing officer and he has his or her marching orders, then I would suspect that individual would be consistent.
And when you were talking about it comes to us like a personnel report, there's no, like, this child has a reason for this child has a reason for that. It's just the names on a list on the paper, and we know nothing about it except
We
this is it.
could present as much or as little as you want. Seriously, I mean,
Well, see, that's where we get in trouble, because I'm a wuss, I know it. And when I see these parents come in and just put their life on the line for their kid, and I don't blame them, it's very difficult. You know, everybody's got a story, and it's heartbreaking sometimes, and I think that's the hardest part of being on this board, it is for me. And in 1 minute I'm this way, 1 minute I'm that way, and based on the situation. And I'm at fault for that. I mean, I may see this school's got 2,000 too many kids, but the situation here, one more is not going to hurt. And I know I'm weak on this. I am. And Patsy will tell you, I am the weakest link in this board when it comes to transfers. And I don't like it, but I'm committed. I'll stand up for anything for the school system. But it's a very difficult thing because it's all emotion. And I mean, I get it with these parents. They want the best for their children, but we got to think big picture when it comes to, I mean, we're needing to build a school and rezone and do all this because our schools are so they're fat. And it's not fair to everybody that's in the schools right now. So we've got to change. I've got to change as a person hears these hearings, because I am weak on it. I'll admit it. I am. Because I just I'm just so,
I think it comes down to this board and individual board members. If we're not gonna, if we can't just say no transfers outside of the list, then this board, I think, has to agree that we will stick to the guidelines that are placed in the policy at no exceptions, particularly, specifically, to those schools that are overcrowded. So,
But when you say that, and you use those criteria, so you're open to considering all of those criteria, not just capacity.
No.
Capacity, how do you get capacity, I guess, to weigh more than the other items? Is that possible?
well, we did that last year, didn't we? What was the figure we landed on?
What's that?
What was the figure of capacity that we said we would not grant transfers?
85%.
Which is the policy.
But we did though.
Well, at the appeal, they
The board did, yeah.
So what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying, that's the problem. I can't get my fellow board members to agree. I want everybody to agree that we're gonna stick with it and we're not gonna grant them. But that is not what has been happening.
So-
Maybe on your level, but not on our level.
So going back to what I was commenting on is that if this board can agree that if a school is in overcapacity state, then we need to stick to our 85% and say, I'm just reflecting back what I think I hear you say, that we will not grant those transfers. The other piece to what I hear you say is this grade span piece, is that if a child is granted, let's say a new transfer given by administration, help me out here, that transfer would only be a 1-year transfer, or you're okay with grade span on that?
No, that's grade span. We're not changing that. If administration feels that it's, say, a safety issue.
Right.
And they approve a new grade span, it's to the end of that grade span.
Okay.
But we should not have any new ones. If so, we use the 80%, 90%, or the fact that it's over capacity and say no. I mean, the policy is very clear. It's not for siblings, it's not.
Right. So I'm just going to use an example, just make sure everybody kind of hears what I'm saying. If we had a student who's denied, they come before the board, that school they're requesting is over capacity, the role of this board would be to say, I'm sorry, we can't transfer you there. Could the board, or would the board have the option to send that student to another school that may not be overcrowded? Because I know we've done that in some of the ones I've heard.
That's fine.
That we don't have space here, but we do have space here.
That's fine. I'm just trying to
I understand.
address overcrowded
Crowded
schools.
Okay.
We
So-
can't talk out of both sides of our mouths and say we need to build a new school or we need to add on to a new school. when we keep sending, literally, it could be 50 this year, 50 next year, 100, you keep adding, and by the time 4 years, you got an additional 200 to 300 transfers in that school. No, we need to be more proactive and say, we're overcrowded and we're going to not allow it.
So what you're saying is that, let's take for a high school, if we've got a high school that's right at capacity, and we've got another high school that the student or the parents want them to go to that's 500 over capacity, then they need to stay, even though that other school's going to be a little over capacity, but it's not over capacity like 500 is.
Yeah, but it's in
Yeah,
the zone. So
I
we have
agree
to
with you.
accept
We
those,
need to
yeah.
try to equalize that just for administrative purposes in the schools and safety reasons.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's, so.
So it
How
sounds
do we do
almost
it?
like an agreement amongst board members. I don't know, I guess I'll turn to Adam and say, could there be a line that says any school over 80%, transfers could be heard, but the board would not, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Here's the problem. The statute is very clear on the standard that the board needs to apply to any transfer request that comes to it. The criteria that you have for administration, you can give them as many criteria as, as long as they're
Right.
reasonable, legal, et cetera. One of the criteria that you are allowed to apply is including but not limited to space available in the desired school and grade level. So that is absolutely a legitimate criteria. You cannot have an agreement that cuts out the others. Because that's, if I had to stand up in front of a judge, if someone were to appeal on a transfer request, I would need to say these were the factors that were considered.
So, let me ask.
But one doesn't
Can I-
outweigh the other.
Right.
Correct.
There is no balance.
It's all in the
No,
same plane.
The statute just says you need to apply these things. Right, how each individual, how you deliberate on those, how you consider those, absolutely. But no, yeah, you could not say we're only going to apply
Okay,
this one.
thank you.
So I have two questions for Adam. So the first question I have is back to the hearing officer. If we were to use the model that Dr. Harrison iterated, would the hearing officer doing the hearing on behalf of the board and then recommending to the board and the board voting, would that process satisfy the statutory requirements for that as long as the hearing officer applied the criteria correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And the second question I have is what I hear you saying is we do not have the authority to say for any reason that we won't hold the hearing. We can't say ahead of time, you can't have a hearing, or we can't say, well, you can have a hearing, but we're not going to approve it, no matter what you say, because, well, that's a distinction without a difference as far as the right of the parent to appeal to the board to be heard.
Correct.
So, as far as what the operation of this board is, we can hear those, and then we can decide on each individual hearing based on what we hear, approval or not approval, based on those standards.
Correct.
But we don't have the authority to say, we're not going to have a hearing.
Correct.
Is that,
Yes.
okay?
But that's what
So-
you're doing now.
Right. But what we could change that might make it more consistent would be what Dr. Harrison was saying about a hearing officer.
I think we just need to agree that I just don't know how I can go out and support a bond referendum for millions and millions of dollars. And it's us. It's not them, the administration, who continue to put children in overcrowded schools.
Well, that is.
I
one-
just don't understand how we keep doing it.
Well, that is one of our criteria to make a decision on, and we should look at our criteria and make those decisions. If that school's overcrowded, then it states in our policy that that is a reason for denial. And so,
Can I point out one other criteria? The next one is the instruction, health, and safety of the pupils there enrolled, meaning the receiving school. So, I mean, that's just you absolutely can consider these things. And Ms. Simpson, these are important considerations. We can't just sort of prejudge or disallow the process. But those are absolutely legitimate considerations for the board to take
So
into account.
the way that I see the situation is there's really two situations. There's the process that we use,
Right.
and then there's the decision-making outcomes of the board. And so we can't really manipulate the process to get a different outcome statutorily, but we can make different decisions as board panels than we have been making. And I think that's what I hear Ms. Simpson saying.
Well, that's not what I'm saying, but obviously, based on what Adam is giving us, that's the only alternative that we have. And I'm just begging and pleading because I've sat in on just about all of them last year, and it's unfair, it's unjust. People tend to put in their personal whatever into it, and we need to stick with the fact that the schools are overcrowded, they're overcrowded. Parents make bad decisions, and it might be inconvenience for parents, but that's decisions when they apply that they put themselves in. And we just gotta be more fair, we gotta be more consistent, and we've got to protect our children who are in overcrowded schools. That's the bottom line, okay? So if that's required, I appreciate the discussion. I look forward to being in on these hearings, and we all gonna hold each other accountable and recognize that we have to protect our overcrowded schools. And we have to say to parents sometimes, it may be an inconvenience for you, however, we have to look at all 22,000 of our students. So I guess I hear you guys agreeing that you will in fact do that. So thanks for the discussion, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Patsy. We're going to move to board and superintendent comments. Pam, I'll start at your end and we'll come down the row if anyone has anything they'd like to share or not.
Well, since I've confessed over transfers, what if I didn't do any transfers this year? Your data may be a lot different. I mean, I'll own it. I am going to have a quick conversation about something very serious that I would like my board members to support me on because it is extremely serious. You guys get phone calls from all kind of issues. We all board members kind of have our own little column that we do. I have gotten a lot of phone calls from law enforcement because I've worked with them in different types of abuse situations for many years. I've had conversations with our leaders of law enforcement. I know we do education, we do playgrounds, we do basketball games, we do math, we do science, and I think we do a really good job at it. But we do not do shooter drills. We do not do protection. We do not do stuff like that. I have mentioned this before, I think to Dr. Harrison and maybe Dr. Monroe, just planting a seed. I would really like for our school system to really be proactive. Every day we turn on the news, it's something. God, pray to God we are never on the news except for how amazing we are. I would really like for our school system to consider to work extremely close with our law enforcement, which we do collaborate. We are so blessed in this county to have that relationship, about doing shooter active drills on our school campuses with our faculty. And what I mean is, whatever situation, if the sheriff's department sends their SR team or whatever that would be to a training, it's one thing to train in a school when there's absolutely nobody in it. You know where the halls are, you know where the certain points are, but when a faculty or a body of people is in a school, it's a whole different ballgame. It's kind of like getting somebody's resume and you go, oh my gosh, they're amazing, and when you interview them, they have no people skills. It's just a whole different situation. I personally would like our faculty to go through something like this, to feel how that is, how scary and terrifying it can be if, God forbid, we did have a shooter on our campuses. But I want them prepared. I want them to know what to do before they have to try and figure out to do in case of the worst case scenario that it actually happens. Every school that's ever had someone for whatever reason, that's come to their school to harm someone, never thought that it would be their school that was harmed. I would really like for ABSS to be the leader in this, in our state, in anywhere it is. I don't want us to do this after the fact. It's like the crossroads that finally gets the stop sign, the stoplight, because there was an accident that was fatal. I know this is a very, very touchy situation. I know that we have our ways about us. Education can be a little queer sometimes, but we may need to really think about this when it comes to having our staff prepared to know what to do when the situation really happens. And I know, I've been told that they will do every one of our schools to better prepare our faculty and staff. There is nothing more important than the people that walk into our schools, except for the person that wants to walk in our school and hurt somebody. We're only as safe as we think we are. And I cannot say it enough, when we have relationships like law enforcement that we do, they're just not about being a chief or about being a sheriff. They're about caring for our students. We don't want to be on the news. We don't want to have to be on Nightline one night talking about this. That's not what kind of popularity I want for us. So I am pleading.
You mean with blanks?
No guns, no shooting, just the actual go through what to do in case someone comes down this hall. It's called an active, it's like a mock drill, but we have staff in the school to go through this, not just.
But no students?
No. But I really want us to really think about this. I really want us to think about this, because being proactive is so much better than having to do what's later. And I cannot say this enough. And I'm not being a busybody, I'm not getting anybody's business, but I just want every staff member to know what to do in case there is something. I want them to know to pull the blinds down and lock the door, but they've got to know more than that, because we're at a time in history where we're seeing what's happening in front of us, and Alamance County is no different from anyone else, and we have to really always be prepared. It's like studying for a test. You practice this and go through it. Faculty needs to be able to ask law enforcement questions. What if? The what ifs, because it's not sometimes if, it's then. So all I'm doing is asking you to really think about this, to consider, have a meeting with your law enforcement. I know you guys have already met with the head, so to speak, but I know they're committed, and I am relaying this message from a captain who called me night before last, that they really want to be involved to make sure that that better trains them and it better trains our staff and faculty.
Thank you, Pam. You want to respond to that or wait?
We'll follow up.
Okay, thank you. Mark, anything?
I just wanted to take a split second to wish Job a lot of great adventures as you finish this year and the coming years. I taught him when he was in middle school, and had a chance to run into him a couple of months ago, but that was after he hit my wife's car, and so when I got there, I didn't know it was Job, and it would turned into a chuckle fest after that. So, but he's a great student, and just very, I think, representative of some of the super things that are happening in our school system. I did want to give Job one challenge, and this is something that I know parents struggle with all the time, is when your kids get to be a little bit older, you really don't know what to give them for a gift. And my two daughters, they're now in their 20s, but they came up with a great idea this year. Instead of us giving them something for their birthdays, they both picked a charity, and there's some website, I don't know what they did, it was kind of a GoFundMe kind of thing. And so instead of asking for gifts, they asked people to give to these charities, and between the two of them, they raised several $1,000s for the American Foundation for the Prevention of Suicide, and also the Ronald McDonald House in Winston-Salem. So I would say, get out there at Williams, do a little bit of civic engagement, and let the parents know, hey, get the kids to do this, get your kids to want this for their birthday, to do something for their school, their community, and the world at large, and make things a little bit better. You can't solve every problem, but boy, you can solve a little one here and there. And keep working on those driving skills.
That's see you have.
Well, yes, I was going to also say something to Joe about civic engagement and to talk about all of our students who participated in that process, last week. How proud I was of all of our schools. It wasn't necessarily a walkout, but it was definitely a learning opportunities for our students, and I really appreciate all the principals and administration for all the guidance that you gave. I received a phone call, I was out of town, but expressing how proud they were of our children and to see them in that type of engagement among themselves in the planning process and how it was related to history. And so I just want to say I'm proud of you, have always been proud of you ABSS students, and thank you for that. Let's see, I got a couple other things. Oh, Erica, Ms. Johnson, wow, while you was talking, I just want to say thanks for your words, because you just seem to be able to articulate feelings and thoughts that I have all the time about the educational process and about diversity and about learning, that all children learn in different ways and all children need to be valued. It reminded me of, I get a lot of phone calls from a lot of constituents and a lot of parents and students, and I got one a week or two ago from a parent who's really upset because their child got suspended from school because he kept telling the AP at the school that he didn't like her. And I was like, okay, so what's the issue? What's the problem? And the mother says, finally they wrote it down as being disrespectful and non-compliant. That was what, and I looked at the referral sheet and that's what was written. And it was all about the child was expressing to the teacher that the AP, excuse me, he didn't like her. We don't like everybody. A lot of you probably don't like me. But that brings me right back to what you were talking about. We have got to look at these expulsions and suspensions and the reason behind it. You covered so much. You talked about, what is it, restorative justice. Oh man, mental health. Pam and I started a year ago talking about mental health. Now it's everywhere. I mean, it's almost like if a school system doesn't have full-time mental health people, then we're not doing what we need to do. You know, we don't have one. We have counselors and all of that. But we're behind the ball on that. It's time to step up our games, and I just want to say how I really heard what you said. I'm sure everybody did, and I appreciate your remarks. And my last thing is, I spoke a little bit with Dr. Thorpe on the side. I've been contacted by Ms. Jane Sellers of the Alamance County African American Culture, Arts, and History Center. And they just had a really wonderful program a week or two ago, but it's about preserving the African American history here in Alamance County. And one of the questions she has that I would like for the board, and Dr. Thorpe has agreed to look into this, is we have the McCray School in the McCray community. It's not being utilized right now. We have got to find a way to preserve that history. A lot of our Rosenwald schools, as my daughter did a senior project on, is no longer in existence in Alamance County, but we can save the McCray School. So I would like to, at the request of administration, to have Dr. Thorpe to meet with Ms. Sellers and talk about what we can do with the African American Cultural Arts Center to see about preserving that or using it from a historical standpoint. I'm sure this board would bless a process once approved to save that African American history here in Alamance County. So other than that, that's it. Oh, and just thanks for everybody who came out to meet the new superintendent, and thanks to our chair for such great leadership in that process. I was like my third time going through that, maybe twice in a smaller version, but it was a really good process, and we look forward to our new superintendent.
We're gonna go bird walking.
Yeah.
Tony, come down to your side and come back up. Anything?
Yes, Patsy stole my thunder there at the end. I just wanted to say to the full board that I've done a couple of these myself, and the process was incredible. And the leadership of Allison and Brian was very well done. And I've told several people about the process that I think it was the most collaborative and cooperative thing that this board has done since I've been on it. And I think the results show that good result, that good leadership. So just wanted to say thanks to every board member. We spent a lot of time huddled up in the hotel room, and but it was good. We saw a lot of good candidates, and kudos to BWP as well. They really went out and got us some good candidates for us to find a good fit for. So
We drank a lot of coffee.
we did. So anyway, thanks Allison for your leadership, and Brian for both of your hard work, and also I echo Allison's sentiments earlier to Marie and Jenny and the rest of the staff and Bill that worked to help us behind the scenes to get the logistics done. So it was really great, and I look forward to Dr. Benson's leadership and taking us to the next level.
Well, I'll just second what Tony said. We got this started about a year ago when we started interviewing companies, BWP and the North Carolina School Boards Association, and I was chair at that time, and we kept it rolling, and we got through the community engagement process, and I stepped down as chairman, and these two fine people here picked it right up and ran with the ball. So and did a great job. So thank you so much. In response to what Patsy said about African American history, on May the 19th, and Jenny, you might want to help me. Is Jenny still here? Okay, in the back. She changed seats. On May 19th, we're going to be honoring Dr. Shanks. We voted some time ago to name the gymnasium at Sellers Gun after Dr. Shanks, a long-time board member of the Burlington City Schools Board of Education, and I have it on my calendar at 11 o'clock.
I think that's what the time that she has decided on.
Okay, very good. Active shooter active grills. Seemed like we used to do those, didn't we? Some of the old-time principals like myself. Gene, do you remember doing that? We had a special drill for that. I remember doing it at high school and alternative school. So there is a process for that, Pam, and with law enforcement's help, I think we can get that rolling. I want to read something that I wrote. Like all of us here, Board of Education members, and part of our job is to assure safety to our students and employees. And I believe that every Board of Education member in America feels that they're taking the appropriate steps to assure a safe environment in our schools. And it's obvious to me that no matter what steps we take, it will not be enough, because if someone is intent on causing havoc, they'll find a way. In my opinion, we need to have serious adult conversations that consider multiple approaches to solving the problem. And I'm talking about the local level, the state level, and the national level here at all three places. The bottom line and goal is no more school shootings and killings. I support the children and students who say enough is enough.
That's right.
There you go.
Your turn.
Thank you, Steve. I just want to say thanks. I might be stealing some of your thunder as well, Allison, knowing it's near and dear to your heart. But I appreciated going to the Education Summit put on by Alamance Citizens for Education last week. It was a really great crowd, a very informative panel. I know Commissioner Byrd, it was great to see you there. Mac Williams said something that really stuck with me. He something he's talked about a number of times, which is if you want to know from a business development standpoint, businesses and those that are looking to invest in our community from an economic growth standpoint are looking at, they want to see if you're investing in yourself. And two proxy measures of that is often, how strong is your United Way in investing private philanthropy from citizens to citizens. We saw a great example of that tonight. And when was your last school bond? When was the last time, as a community, you were willing to make sacrifices to invest in your public schools? So we are, let's say, one half of the way this year in those two things. We have a strong United Way, and I'm confident we hopefully will do enough education on our part to educate the citizens of Alamance County about the critical, absolute critical need for this historic bond. So if there's anybody within earshot or listening on that recorded video, I know that many of us on the Board of Education, certainly Dr. Harrison in a more official capacity, are out there educating people about the bond. While we will understand our role in not advocating for it or getting into a political discussion about that bond, it is incumbent upon us to educate about the needs in Alamance County as it relates to our school system, and certainly the biggest need facing us is that capital improvement vis-a-vis the bond. So it was great to see that panel from an economic standpoint. Certainly, President Gatewood of ACC, Superintendent Harrison were up on that panel as well. A great discussion. So it was great to be there. Also, a couple weeks back, I want to give kudos to Dr. Harrison for formally presenting our bond request to our county commissioners. It was a lengthy meeting with two presentations about those bonds, as well as from Davenport giving a finance plan. Davenport is a consultant that the Board of Commissioners have an engagement with to help them formulate a potential plan for finance should the bonds go forward. I know that they have spent a lot of work in looking at Chair Amy Gailey, Commissioner Bob Byrd with that firm. Is really illuminating, so encourage everybody, if they weren't at that meeting or their commissioner meeting today that talked about that, to go on their website. I'm sure there's ways to look at and information that will be coming out about that, so that citizens can see a full package. And really just appreciate County Manager Haygood and all of the Board of Commissioners for the great work so far in preparing an informed decision. I know there are still decisions to be done, but it is very impressive to see the due diligence that is going into this, and certainly appreciate it. And it was great to be, prior to that, standing with many people around our county at the Alamance for Ed rally. Just a positive, nonpartisan, very inclusive, the speakers and diversity of speakers at that rally. And it was just so uplifting to be with people of all different standpoints in our community, all simply there to support public education. So really appreciate the teacher leaders and other organizers that continue to raise the awareness of the needs and issues around public education by way of the Alamance for Ed effort.
Thank you. So I'll be brief. Just again, thanks to my board and to Brian for working so diligently to bring our next superintendent on board. Thank you to Dr. Harrison again and his staff for helping us process that event today. I really don't have anything else to add. I think my board members have said it all. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session. Brian?
I make a motion we enter closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3 to preserve attorney-client privilege, and 143-318.11A6 to consider confidential personnel information protected under North Carolina General Statute 115C-319 and 115C-320.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Any discussion? Oh.
Wait a minute.
I left you out.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
No comments, Larry. I'm looking forward to your new superintendent.
Well, at least I will.
Now, let me,
I'm
I like the
sorry.
board
I'm so sorry.
to reflect a little bit on where you guys have come as a body. And Patsy, you were the vice chair and Tony was the chair when I got here, and we had some conversations about what it would take to be in a position to get the type of person that you end up finding. And back when you started the search back in 2014, I think you had 17 or 19 applicants. Don't know that you had many all-stars in that group of applicants, but this time you had 65 applicants, and you had a lot of all-stars in that group. I think you guys did a great job, and I think that she is going to take the school system to the next level, and I look forward to watching that and cheering him all on. So we've got 3 more months to work, 4 more meetings.
Who's counting?
Down, can you tell?
But you're not counting.
Counting.
He's not counting.
Thank you.
Thank you, sorry. It has not been my night to stay on order of the agenda. I will try to do better next month. So we do have a first and a second to move to closed session. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you, everybody.